Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Decision Room. Today, I want to talk to you about 5 characteristics of good leaders who also make really good decisions. All right. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, I'm not one of those guys who uses a teleprompter. I just have notes over here to the side. So, you will see me looking back and forth. Either way, the content is what you want, and that's what I'm trying to deliver to you in a very small amount of time so you can get on with your day, but also have something powerful and impactful to take you on through the rest of your day. So the first thing that 5 characteristics of great leaders and great decision makers is this, is that there's clarity of purpose. They have clarity of purpose. And here's what I mean. Great leaders decide from identity and not from insecurity. Great leaders decide from identity and not from insecurity. Knowing who you are is incredibly important to you being the person that you want to be and making great choices and decisions and leading people very well. You have to know who you are before you can get in someone else's space and tell them who they are. Okay. So they know who they are. They know why they're there. They know what they're doing. They know all of those things. So they lead from identity and not insecurity and fear. John Maxwell says this: people don't decide their future, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. You know, I'm really big on that. I have a program called Habits, Appetites, and Decisions. The whole focus of it is listen, if you can get your habits right, then your appetites will follow, and ultimately your decisions will as well. Okay. We'll talk more about that, how you can actually download that program, go through that program, and or you can coach with me through that program. Okay. Now, the program, let me just interrupt myself here and say this quickly as well. The program is not what you would see, what you buy on some other thing. There is no additional upsell for you. You pay for the program, you get coached in the program, and then we create opportunities for you to continue to get resources around that program and continue to grow individually as a person, right? Or as a group. If it's your group who decides to watch the videos and you go in with that, fantastic. But the whole point of it is you're not getting 2 or 3 different upsells, and we make them quick, sweet, and short so that you can continue to go back to them time and time again. Okay. So, the scripture, for those of you who are here for the very first time, I'm a Christian. So, I'm always going to include my faith in what I say. It doesn't matter to me what your faith is. I'm giving you information and knowledge that I believe transcends whether you agree with me or not. This is going to help you. All right. So, the scripture I use is Habakkuk 2:2. It says, write the vision down, make it plain on tables so that those who read it may be able to run with it. Right. So, great leaders, again, operate from clarity. So if you're going to do something, if you're going to be profound, if you're going to be really good, if you're going to be succinct in what you do, if people are going to be clear on where they're going when they're connected to you, or if they're under you and they're leading alongside you, it's got to be clear. Okay. Um, I also want to share this with you because I think this is important, that clarity is not perfection. Okay. Clarity is not perfection. Clarity is alignment. Clarity is not perfection. It's alignment, knowing what your values are, making those value based decisions. All right. Number 2 is this. This great decision makers and leaders understand that they need to have courage under pressure. Need to have courage under pressure. Every meaningful decision has a moment of fear attached to it. Leaders rise to those occasions. They don't run from them. They don't blame other people. They rise to them. Currently, right now, we're watching a leader, run, duck, and hide and blame everybody else for the problems of an entire nation. We don't do that. We bring people together. We understand what we need to do and where we need to go with that process. And that's what happens. That's a good leader with good character, right? Who's making good decisions. Okay. We don't run and we don't hide, we act. All right. And here's my leadership insight. Winston Churchill said this: courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees all the others. Courage is the quality which guarantees all of the others. So you have to have courage. And I'm not talking about arrogance. There's a difference between someone who's has full of courage and somebody who's arrogant. There's a major difference between that. So we're talking about you having the courage to make leadership decisions and stand in the face of that and take responsibility when things don't go as planned. People trust that. We will talk about that as well. The scripture that I would use would be Deuteronomy 31:6. All right. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid because the Lord goes with you. All right. So here's a little commentary that I want to give you on that. Courage isn't loud, it's consistent. Courage isn't loud, courage is consistent, especially when quitting is convenient. Courage is not this loud thing. Courage isn't this bold thing. Courage isn't putting other people down. Courage isn't tearing other people down. Courage isn't, it doesn't have to be loud. It's consistent. It's seen. It's inevitable. There's fruit. It's hard to argue with because it has fruit attached to it that tells you what it is. All right. And then number three, emotional regulation. This is huge for, again, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a certified life coach. And I just finished with my trauma training, and I'm big on this. Number three is just emotional regulation. All right, you as a person have to be able to be under control, self control. You have to regulate your emotions. You can't be a person who goes off on people. You can't be a person who's unhinged, a person who can't see themselves, who can't capture a moment and say, "Wait a minute, I'm about to make a choice and decision that I really don't want to make. It's not going to serve me or the people who serve with me well, nor is it going to help for future things that we will need to do in terms of coming together and accomplishing our goal." You have to be able to lead your internal world. You've got to be able to lead your internal world. This is a huge problem for a lot of people because they don't have emotional regulation. All right. The scripture I would use for that is Proverbs 16:32. Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit will be able to take a city. When you are under control, when you have self-control, when you have the ability to emotionally regulate and not go off the charts and not have everything trigger you because you've dealt with yourself, you worked on yourself, you understood the places where you have strengths and where you have weaknesses. You get that, right? So you hire your weaknesses and you continue to develop your strengths. This allows you to understand how to just continue to go forward in life. It's a beautiful thing, but you have to have emotional regulation. You can't be out here being an adult, right? Calling people names, being on social media, getting angry at people, writing nasty letters to people. These kind of things are just, they're inappropriate on all the levels that you can possibly think of. All right. So you have to have some emotional regulation. Okay. And look, emotional regulation is the bridge between impulsive decisions and wise decisions. Leaders who regulate can discern. You have to be able to discern the moment. You have to be able to know where you are. You have to be able to recognize, what room am I in? What moment am I standing in? Far too many leaders who don't have that ability to recognize where they're standing right in a given moment. So they just go crazy. They just go wild. They just say whatever they want to say, whatever's top of mind, right? And destroying people. We're seeing more and more of that again in this country. I'm not interested. I'm not making political statements here. I'm telling you what the facts are. These are the facts. This is what we're seeing. Okay. So those are not the marks of a leader. Leaders, listen to this. Leaders who react get dragged into appetites. Leaders who react get dragged into appetites. Bad appetites. Appetites that they have no control over. Things that feed their ego, right? And their lower nature, their inability to regulate themselves. That's what happens. But regulation comes from identity. Again, knowing who you are. When you know who you are, you don't do that. You move differently. You just move differently in life. Okay. Number four is great leaders who make great decisions are humble and teachable. I cannot express this enough. Great leaders who make great decisions are humble and they are teachable. Okay. Decisions are improved by counsel, feedback, wisdom, and perspective. Let me say that again. Decisions are improved by counsel, wisdom, feedback, and perspective. Leaders who can listen, who can be corrected, can be trusted. Leaders who can be corrected can be trusted. If you can't be corrected, you're too high and mighty that no one can correct you. No one can come to you. No one can say anything to you. No one can point out a flaw, a place in you where you missed it. You're not going to be a good leader. You're going to end up being a dictator. That's what you are, and your insecurity is going to be showing up greatly. You're not leading at that particular point in time. Okay. Um, Harry Truman said, "It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit." That's a huge part of being a leader. Leaders who don't assemble teams, leaders who don't say, listen, I'll never get there all by myself. You can have all the vision you want to. It's still vision. Vision requires other people to execute it. And if you don't have that, it's not possible for you to get there. Right? You can get a whole bunch of people on your team who will just do your bidding, but at the end of the day, they will ultimately just become a number to you, and they will rebel on you because now they're only following you because you strong armed them into it. You threaten them into following you. Right? You offered them something over here on the side that doesn't really work. But listen, if you're a great leader, if you're a great leader, you don't care if somebody on your team gets the credit. But if you're arrogant, high minded, right? Highly insecure, and you need everybody around you to acquiesce to who you are, then guess what? You're not a great leader. I don't care what you're leading. You're not a great leader if that's what you need. If other people never get to bask in the sunlight as you do, you're not a great leader. Great leaders don't move like that. Okay? Proverbs 11:14 says this, where there's no guidance, people fall. But in the abundance of counsel, there's safety. That's just the way it is. The more counsel you get, the more people around you. Listen, you have blind spots. I have blind spots. We can't see everything. We just simply can't see everything. So it's important for us not to fall prey to that. All right. I also want to tell you this, just so people get it. Being humble, having humility is not weakness. I know this is really difficult for a lot of people, but being humble is not a place of weakness. Being humble is a place of strength because you know who you are. You understand too that you're not a finished product, that you're a work in progress. You may have some other things in your life that you've done incredibly well. Like you're smashing it. You're doing a fantastic job in those other places, but there's something that's really powerful about someone who recognizes, right, that being humble is a beautiful thing. It's a position of power. It's a place of assurity. It's a place of like, hey, great. I'm going to grow from here. I'm going to learn from here. I'm going to build from here. That's a powerful place to be, right? Humility. I wrote down here is like strategic strength. It's strategic strength. It's the ability to stand in the face of things, know that you might be wrong, get corrected, and then still go after what it is that you want to go after. These are the great decisions that leaders make. Okay. Teachability is how leaders stay relevant and wise and self aware. Teachability. Are you teachable? If you're a leader, are you teachable? If not, make the decision today to be a teachable individual. Make the decision today to be somebody that other people can share information with and that you continue to go out and eat new information over and over again. You go get new information over and over again. You're around other people who think bigger than you, who've thought longer than you, who've thought wider than you, higher than you, right? Get around those people. It doesn't make you less of a leader. It tells all the other people that you're working on yourself and you're aware that your leadership is also a developing space for you. People can appreciate that. People can walk with that. But people have a hard time when people show up as the expert and there's nothing new that they can learn. Right? There's a few places in life where you want that to happen. That's when someone's going to tell you they're going to open up your chest and work on it. But even in that, you want to make sure that this is the right person, right? Who's gone in and done all the work they needed to do in order for you to be able to come out of that situation alive and healthy and on the pathway to healing. You want the person to know, right? And that's important, but they've done the work. Someone has agreed that they've done the work and they're there. But again, they don't operate on you alone. Please hear me when I tell you this. They do not operate on you alone. There are other people in there watching, helping, supporting, and assisting to make sure that this thing goes well. Nobody gets to where they need to be alone. So if you're going to be a great leader, you have to have some humility and be teachable. Are you teachable? That's a question that you need to have. Okay. So because when humility enters your heart, clarity also enters your decisions. Number 5, and the final thing I want to share with you is that stewardship, being able to steward things well, over outcomes is the most important thing. Being able to steward things well over outcomes is the most important things. Listen to this. I wrote this note down. Great decision makers don't just act, they evaluate, refine, and steward the consequences of their choices. They take responsibility for the future that they create. Let me tell you again, great decision makers don't just act, they evaluate, refine, and become stewards over the consequences of their choices. This is incredibly important. Taking responsibility for the choices and decisions that you make, refining them, reevaluating them. Every year, you should go back and take a good look at your leadership. You should refine your leadership. You should refine the way that you deal with people, the way that you approach various different things. And you're talking, and hopefully this video is doing one or two things. Either you're saying, man, I'm a great leader and I need to stay in leadership, or I'm not a great leader and I need to come up through leadership. It might be doing a third thing to you as well. You might be discovering that you're not a leader at all, and that where you like to be is in the background, where maybe you're a creative person and you bring things to the leadership model, but that you're not a leader. Because if you're not willing to do that reevaluation, refining, right, and then taking full responsibility, it's going to be impossible for you to be a leader. Because again, if you blame other people and everybody else for why something doesn't work, you are not a great leader, because you're supposed to be solving problems, not pointing fingers at other people saying they are the problem and I'm the answer. You need to see my other video for that, when I talk about how people get involved in cult-like behavior because of someone coming and saying, I can fix everything if we can just get rid of the other people. You can't be a leader if that's what you do. Margaret Thatcher said this, look at a day when you are supremely satisfied at the end. It's not the day when you lounge around doing nothing. It's when you've done everything that you could do and you've done it. Stewardship. You got to steward your time well, which is a whole other thing too that I talk to people about. You know, how well are you with your time? Where do you spend your time? I can always tell how well a person is doing by where they spend their time, who they spend their time with, right? Or do you manage what you're doing very well? Are you all over the place? Are you scattered? Are you here one day and there the next day? Are you doing this? Are you always starting something new while never finishing the thing that you started before you started the new thing? Make better decisions with that. Stewardship means this, and I'm going to close here. Stewardship means your decisions are not random, they're intentional, examined, and aligned. They're not random, they're intentional, examined, and aligned with who you are, identity. That's what stewardship is. This is who I am, this is what I do. All right? So, I want to close with this statement here in hopes to be of some support to you and help you. All right? Great leaders are not flawless. They're formed. No one's born one. Okay? They grow across seasons. They make decisions through identity, regulation, courage, humility, and stewardship. And whether you're leading a company, a family, or a ministry, simply trying to lead your own life, leadership begins internally, long before it shows up externally. These are the 5 things that great leaders who make good decisions recognize and realize. I hope this helps. Thanks for hanging out. Y'all be blessed.